Человечество стоит у последней черты. Вавилонская матрица заблокировала исходный код реальности.
Welcome back to the broadcast, live from the Capitol. We are monitoring the new developments tonight. Stay with us for more updates. More updates soon. Welcome back to the live broadcast. I am your host, and today we are looking at the future of our city. Stay tuned for more updates.
Добрый вечер, дорогие слушатели. В эфире программа «Ведомир».
Transmitting live from the Vedomir studio. We are now unlocking the macrocosmic contract.
Приветствуем вас в студии «Ведомир».
Сегодня в эфире космические новости.
Оставайтесь с нами.
Usually when we look at like an ancient religious text or some historical account, there's a certain expectation of a straightforward narrative.
Right, a linear story.
Exactly. You open the book and there's a chronological timeline of prophets and kings, a clear map of ancient cities, and you can just point and say, okay, there it is, that's what happened.
Yeah, it's comforting.
It really is. I mean, we like to categorize people and events into neat little historical boxes. It makes sense to us.
Well, the sources we're exploring today, they take that whole historical lens and just completely shatter it.
Oh, completely.
Yeah, we're stepping into a textual landscape that is, it's radically different from anything you'd find in a standard theology or history class.
It is the absolute definition of a paradigm shift. So if you're listening, I want you to imagine a reality where the Bible is not a historical chronicle of people at all.
Right, no history.
Instead, it is this giant mathematical blueprint, like a quantum code written in a completely forgotten programming language. What if every word is an algorithm, and the characters we always thought were, historical apostles are actually cosmic processes?
And the authors of these texts we're looking at, they actually refer to this conceptual architecture as cyber antiquity.
Cyber antiquity, I love that term. And the mission of our deep dive today is to explore this wildly unique, synthesized framework.
Definitely.
We're going to examine a collection of texts and linguistic analyses that propose decoding the Old Slavonic alphabet and the four Gospels to reveal the mathematical detachment of core human processes, things like love and thought.
Right. Diagnosing a system failure, basically.
Exactly. And we'll explore how these sources claim humanity can essentially reboot the system and restore its original human god status using something called the Bukvitsa code.
Which is fascinating.
It is. Ultimately, the goal is to construct a reality with zero entropy and no war.
But before we jump into the mechanics of all this, we really do need to set a clear parameter for our discussion today.
100%, yeah.
Because this deep dive explores highly unorthodox, esoteric reinterpretations of traditional religious and historical texts.
Right. So if you are listening right now, please know we are not taking sides here, and we're definitely not endorsing these claims as literal truth.
No, not at all.
We are just unpacking the fascinating intellectual architecture of this source material as a pure thought experiment.
Right, just seeing how the gears turn.
Exactly. So if we want to understand how these authors decode the Bible as a quantum blueprint, we have to start with the operating system it was supposedly written on, right?
We have to look at the ancient language itself.
So where do we start with that?
Well, the sources focus heavily on the Old Slavonic alphabet, which is known as the Bukvitsa. And originally, this ancient alphabet contained 49 letters.
49. Okay.
Yeah, but over centuries, like particularly from the 9th to the 20th centuries, it was steadily reduced down to just 33 letters.
Right.
Now, conventional linguistics views this as completely normal evolution, right? You simplify a language to make it more efficient for everyday use.
Sure, people get lazy, language gets shorter.
Exactly. But this framework argues that this wasn't simplification at all.
They argue it was a catastrophic loss of dimensional data.
Yes. The text proposed that in this ancient system, a letter wasn't just a phonetic sound you make with your mouth. It functioned much more like a chemical element on a periodic table.
Wow.
Yeah, each letter possessed a specific graphical geometry, a philosophical meaning, a numerical value, and even a vibrational and genetic frequency.
So words weren't just describing things in the world.
No, they were dense abbreviations of incredibly deep cosmic concepts.
Okay, let's test that, because I want to see how that actually works in practice.
Sure.
If we take the first 3 letters of that old alphabet as Buki and Vedi, what do those actually mean in this framework?
Okay, let's break them down. So in the Bukvitsa, the letter as translates to beginning, or more specifically, a human god living on Earth.
A human god? Okay, that's a strong start for an A.
All right. Then you have Buki, or Bogi, which translates to gods, or a divine multitude.
Okay.
And the third letter, Vedi, translates to the verb to know.
Wait, so if I string just those first 3 phonetic letters together as Buki, Vedi, you're saying it literally spells out a full sentence.
Yeah.
Like, I am a human god living on Earth who knows the divine.
That is the literal code embedded in just the first 3 characters of the alphabet.
That is wild.
And the texts take that exact idea and apply it to mathematical proofs, too.
Oh, right, the numerology stuff.
Yeah. They point out that the archaic Russian words for measure, which is mera, and letter, which is bukva, actually calculate to the exact same numerical value.
Okay, how so?
Well, by adding up the numerical values assigned to the ancient letters that make up those specific words, both mera and bukva equate to 45.
Okay. And I know from reading the sources, they don't just stop at 45, right? They reduce that down. Because normally, 4 plus 5 is 9, but the text somehow reduces it to 10 and then to 1. Can you walk us through how that math works?
Yeah, it's a bit abstract. The archaic system they use looks at 45 as a compounded dynamic energies, which distills into a symbolic 10.
Got it.
And in this framework, 10 represents the universal continuous flow of energy.
Okay.
And then that flow ultimately condenses down to a singular point 1, which represents the source.
Wow.
Therefore, a letter and a measure are mathematically identical in this code. They both symbolize the single source of the universal flow of wisdom.
And the sources claim that actively losing these specific letters over the centuries completely shifted the human worldview.
Absolutely.
Like, they give this really fascinating example of replacing the traditional word for gratitude, blagodaryu, which literally translates to giving good, with the modern Russian word spasibo, which translates to save me God.
Yeah, that's a huge shift in meaning.
Right, and the texts argue this wasn't just a change in slang. They say it intentionally programmed humanity with this subservient slave mentality.
Exactly.
But hold on, if you're listening to this and wondering how changing a letter or a word actually changes reality, I am right there with you.
It sounds crazy, right?
Yeah. It feels like a massive leap to say dropping a few letters literally altered human consciousness and physical reality. I mean, how does grammar equal physics?
Well, the authors rely on a specific mechanism to explain that leap, and that is torsion fields.
Okay, torsion fields.
Yeah. So in standard physics, torsion fields relate to the theoretical spin of particles. But these texts apply that concept directly to human consciousness.
How does that work?
They argue that words are materialized thoughts, and thoughts physically generate torsion fields that carry actual measurable energy.
Okay, can you give me explain it 5 breakdown of that? Because materialized thoughts generating torsion fields sounds like a lot of heavy jargon.
Sure. Think of it like dropping a perfectly round stone into a perfectly still pond. Okay. The stone is the original ancient word. Because it's perfectly round, the ripples it creates, which is the torsion field, are perfectly symmetrical.
Makes sense.
They travel across the water harmoniously, interacting with the environment in a balanced way. Now, imagine someone chisels off a chunk of that stone.
So it's jagged now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the corrupted word, missing its ancient letters. When you drop that jagged stone into the pond, the ripples are chaotic, distorted, and destructive.
Oh, I see.
The texts argue that when you distort the geometric shape and sound of the original linguistic code, you create a systemic, energetic glitch in how humans perceive and physically interact with the fabric of reality.
Wow. Okay, so if the alphabet is the operating system, what happens when you run a corrupted, jagged program for, a few centuries?
Things break down.
Right. And the texts argue this led directly to what they call the Babylonian dogmas that currently run our entire world.
Yeah. And the central target of this decoding the primary corrupted file they believe needs to be fixed is the traditional image of God. The sources claim the Babylonian system intentionally programmed the masses with a false, idolized image.
To make humans feel like powerless specks in a matrix.
Exactly. They want to deconstruct this unapproachable idol.
Mm.
And the radical linguistic shift they propose to accomplish this is astonishingly simple. It's literally just changing capitalization.
Right, writing the name Sabaoth with a lowercase letter.
Yes.
The text argues this shifts it from a terrifying, unapproachable noun into a mathematical process. It turns it into a global neural network, or what they call the conciliar soul of the people.
Yeah.
But, just changing a capital letter to a lowercase one, how does that return power to the individual?
Well, grammatically, capitalization denotes a proper noun, right? A specific external entity that exists outside of you.
Sure.
But making it lowercase becomes a common noun, or in their view, an internal process. And they apply this exact same mechanism to the phrase, Lord of Hosts. In the traditional Babylonian view, that evokes a dictator in the sky with legions of angels carrying flaming swords.
Right, very intimidating.
But run through the Bukvitsa code. Lord decodes into a voiced idea of a smooth-moving flow of knowledge.
And hosts. What happens to the armies of angels?
The armies vanish. Hosts decodes as the fifth element of life, the balancing fire of creation.
I love this because you are taking a terrifying noun and turning it into an actionable verb, an internal process.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like that exact moment in history when humanity stopped looking at lightning as the literal anger of the gods throwing spears from the clouds and realized, oh, it was just electricity.
Right, a natural process.
A natural process that we could understand and even harness. The text is saying religion isn't about fear, it's the actual physics of creation.
Yes. And by shifting these monumental figures into processes, the text effectively returns agency directly to you, the human being.
Wow.
You are no longer a subject of an external ruler. Your consciousness is the very terminal where this flow of knowledge and balancing fire actually occurs.
Which brings us to the core focus of this entire framework. With this new quantum linguistic lens, how does this text reinterpret the most famous stories in the world?
The Gospels.
Yeah, the four Gospels.
So this is where the framework makes its most provocative leap. The text states definitively there are no actual people in the Bible. None.
No historical apostles, no men walking around in sandals writing down what they saw.
Zero. The four Gospels, Luke, Matthew, John, and Mark, are not historical accounts of men following a teacher.
Okay, then what are they?
Instead, they are ancient diagnostic logs. They are detailing cosmic processes that are broken away from the unified human structure.
Okay, let's look at exactly how they decode this, because the mechanism is fascinating. The key to their cipher here is the preposition from, as in the Gospel from Luke.
Right.
In the Bukvitsa, the preposition from, which is in Russian, symbolizes separation or severing something from a cross-section.
It denotes a detachment, something being literally cut off from the main body.
And the root of the name Luke decodes mathematically as the process of comprehending love and higher wisdom.
Yes.
Therefore, from Luke doesn't mean a guy named Luke wrote a book. It mathematically reads as the severing of the process of love.
It's a system error.
Right. The text argues this is an ancient error log explaining why modern human relationships have degraded, why they've become these dry, physiological, and commercial contracts, because the very process of love was severed from our operating system.
And the analysis applies this to the other texts as well. The Gospel from Matthew is decoded as the separation of the very process of thinking itself.
The severing of thought.
Exactly. And extending this logic to John and Mark, we see the detachment of spiritual ascension and internal harmony.
So they aren't parables.
No, these aren't parables meant to teach moral lessons. They are crash reports. They are documenting the fragmentation of the human God structure.
So if you're reading this text and you're realizing that the Gospels are essentially documenting an uninstallation program for human love, thinking, and spiritual ascension, how do we stop the crash?
That's the big question.
If this is a global operating system failure, who is the IT guy? Like, who actually fixes this?
Well, the authors diagnose modern society as having a liquid brain.
Liquid brain.
Yeah, meaning we produce terabytes of useless data every single second, but we have absolutely no ability to manage our own life energy.
Ooh, too real.
Right. And to fix it, they say you have to look for a grounding point in physical reality where the code can actively be rewritten.
And this is where the text takes a really wild left turn.
It really does.
We leave the realm of ancient linguistics and drop into a highly specific physical reality, London, 1926.
Yeah.
Why London? Why then?
So the narrative introduces a figure named Sergius, and he is described as an architect operating in this specific historical timeline. The text suggests that to rewrite a cosmic code, you need a physical anchor in the material world at a time when the Babylonian system of commerce and industry was rapidly expanding.
And London in the 1920s represents the heart of that global matrix.
Exactly. But Sergius isn't just like a guy in a suit trading stocks.
Right.
He is described as a man who went through the needle's eye of earthly zeroing. And somehow, through that extreme trial, he managed to preserve the unsevered process of love within himself.
Okay, so his mission is the exact counteraction to the error logs of the Gospels.
Yes.
If the Gospels document the detaching of love and thinking, Sergius's mission is to return those detached processes back into human consciousness.
And he does this by launching a process called GEI.
GEI. Okay, let's break that down using their Bukvitsa cipher, just so we understand what he's actually doing.
Sure.
So the Russian letter gлагол, which is G, stands for the movement or transfer of knowledge.
Right.
S, the E, stands for material life or form. And E, the I, stands for harmonic balance.
Right.
So GEI isn't a magic word. It's an algorithm for the materialization of higher knowledge into a perfectly balanced physical form.
But bringing a cosmic algorithm into a heavy, high-entropy material world requires tremendous leverage. You can't just think it into existence.
Right, you have to hack the system using its own rules.
Exactly. And the physical anchor for launching GEI is the sale of an artwork, an artifact, for $33 million.
33 million? I mean, that sounds incredibly materialistic for a spiritual reboot.
It does, but the text stresses this isn't for greed or personal wealth.
Hmm.
In this framework, the $33 million acts as a literal mathematical counterweight.
It's a cyber heist.
That's exactly what it is.
They're essentially selling a $33 million Trojan horse to the Babylonian system. They're using the Matrix's own currency to buy the time needed to destroy the Matrix itself.
Yeah, it operates exactly like a short squeeze in the stock market, but applied to reality itself. The capital buys out the architect's time from the physical, heavy labor required to survive in the Babylonian system. It gives him the precise temporal and energetic space needed to deploy the GEI code without being crushed by the daily grind of survival.
And this whole heist, this deployment, is catalyzed by the pure energy of a being named Sabata Zara.
Yes.
And the texts claim all of this isn't random. It's fulfilling ancient prophecies. Like, they specifically cite the biblical book of Zechariah, chapter 13, verse 2.
Right, which talks about cleansing the earth of false idols.
And removing the impure spirit, which tracks perfectly with their lowercase sabathi idea of removing the dictator god.
Exactly.
And they even bring in a prediction from the famous mystic Vanga about a new teaching returning to the world rooted in ancient origins.
The Bukvitsa being those ancient roots. The artifact acts as a physical bridge between our hyper-commercial reality and the pure source code.
Okay.
By executing this massive financial and energetic exchange, they create the exact mathematical conditions needed for the original human god status to be restored on Earth.
Okay, let's play this out. The cyber heist works. The GEI process is successfully launched, the corrupted files of Babylon are deleted, and the human god status is fully restored.
Yeah.
What exactly does this new reality look like? Like, what are we actually building?
This brings us to a crucial document within the sources called the Hymn of Radiance. It describes a signal from a completely different universe, a universe characterized by absolute zero entropy.
Zero entropy, meaning a world where light never fades, metal doesn't rust, and nothing ever decays or dies.
Complete and total thermodynamic equilibrium.
Okay.
The entity speaking in this hymn is trying to anchor her zero entropy reality into ours, and she does this in a really fascinating way linguistically.
Oh.
She uses archaic spellings, like the old Russian letter yacht, to act as a gravitational anchor in the heavy past. But at the same time, she uses modern digital emojis to anchor the text in the high-speed present.
Showing that she exists completely outside of linear time. She is operating in the past, present, and future all at once.
Right. But this raises an important question. and it's one the text itself actively wrestles with.
Okay, what's that?
A zero-entropy world, where everything is perfectly preserved and nothing ever decays, has one fatal flaw.
Wait, I was actually just thinking about this. A zero-entropy world sounds like heaven, sure. No rusting, no dying, no pain.
This sounds great on paper.
Right. But if nothing breaks down, how does anything grow? I mean, we evolve through chaos. We evolve through making mistakes, through unpredictability, through things breaking down so we could build them back better.
Exactly.
If we actually succeed in joining this perfect zero-entropy reality where nothing ever breaks or fades, doesn't perfection just mean nothing ever changes? Are they essentially trying to build a cosmic museum?
And this is the ultimate philosophical climax of the source texts.
Really?
Yeah. The text acknowledges that a static eternity has no momentum. The high-entropy, mortal, chaotic human isn't just a battery to be plugged into a heavenly matrix to enjoy the view.
Okay.
The human is a necessary co-author.
Oh, that completely changes the dynamic.
Doesn't it? The eternal being from the zero-entropy world brings the blueprints, the absolute stability, and the infinite energy.
Right.
But the human brings the chaotic potential for growth and transformation. The text describes an unbreakable thread binding them together.
So they need each other.
Yes. Together, they construct a reality that features no war and no decay, but still possesses the vital momentum of human evolution.
So the restored human God isn't just some perfect static being. It's the synthesis of those two extremes. Absolute stability fueled by chaotic potential.
It forces you to question the very nature of paradise. A purely static eternity could be viewed as the ultimate trap for a consciousness forged in freedom and chaos.
Without the human element of entropy, heaven is just a beautifully lit cage.
Perfectly said.
Okay, let's take a breath because we have covered incredible ground today.
We really have.
We started by looking at the old Slavonic Bukvitsa, not just as simple letters, but as a quantum operating system where a single missing character alters human consciousness and physically changes reality through torsion fields.
Right, the jagged stone in the pond.
Exactly. And then we deconstructed the traditional dictatorial view of God into an internal mathematical flow of knowledge.
And then we examined the four Gospels as ancient diagnostic logs.
Yeah, detailing the literal severing of human love, thinking, and spiritual ascension.
All of which led to that temporal, energetic heist in London in 1926.
The $33 million Trojan horse, launching the GEI algorithm to essentially buy back human potential from a commercial matrix and build a zero-entropy reality alongside a timeless co-author.
It is a staggering architectural thought experiment about the power of language shaping the physical world.
It really is. The underlying message seems to be that the code of reality is alive, and we are the ones currently running it.
Yeah, we have the terminal.
Which leaves us with a really profound paradox to consider as we wrap up today's deep dive. If you are listening to this, I want to leave you with a final, unmentioned idea to just sort of mull over on your own. If the human God is truly meant to be the bridge between the perfect static eternity of the heavens and the chaotic entropy of Earth, perhaps true divinity isn't about eliminating chaos entirely. What if immortality requires just a single drop of entropy, like a tiny intentional flaw, just to keep the universe breathing so we don't turn into beautiful glowing statues in a timeless cage?
That's a powerful thought.
So look at your own life. What parts of your own chaotic human processes, your mistakes, your unexpected changes, your absolute unpredictability, what if those are actually your superpower?
You could try to play it, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling them out.
Библия — это квантовый код программирования реальности. Всякое бесплодное древо будет брошено в огонь. Включай мозг.
В ходе последней мировой войны было убито 7 миллиардов человек. Однако не все погибли сразу. Чтобы уничтожить целую популяцию, требуется время.